This winter I did two grafting sessions, one in the first week of January and one in the last. And now it's time for both to go into full sun conditions. So before that, I do some basic work on them. This is Japanese black pine kotobuki grafted onto my own rootstock, and it looks like it is a solid graft union. This is one of the most important grafts with a slow growing cultivar of Japanese white pine onto my fast growing rootstock. All of the grafts from the first session have been cleaned, meaning I've removed the aluminum wire and the decomposing paraffin tape, and since June they are placed into a position where they get 1 or 2 hours of morning sun and daily misting. So what I do now is remove the lower foliage of the rootstock, which has backbudded all along the trunk since grafting. This is a very important part as it increases the importance of the scion's foliage, meaning that this makes the scion producing enough so that the rootstock doesn't give up on it. If I leave the foliage on the rootstock, eventually the tree will shut down the supply of the graft and let it die in favor of the foliage above it, which will photosynthesize more efficiently. So this procedure is absolutely necessary, even if it slows down a bit the thickening of the rootstock. The lower grafts are meant to become sohin-sized bonsai, while the higher ones are going to become medium-sized or larger trees, taking advantage of the intense and dramatic bark that my rootstock makes quite early. Now I'm checking the nabari. These pines I use for rootstock are usually 3-year-olds that have been rootworked one season ago. Now that I have a visual of the nabari, I can place a wire and bend accordingly. Bending a new graft, I should be very careful. First, I make sure the wire goes above the graft to secure it in place, and then I avoid bending the graft union. This graft is too low to wire and bend, so all the movement will come from the scion, but wiring of that will take place next summer. Now this graft is very important. This is my first and only graft of Zuiso, a very famous cultivar of Japanese white pine for bonsai. And even though Japanese propagate this cultivar from cuttings so that they get trees on their own root system, I need to propagate my plant with grafting in order to get a lot more material for grafts and cuttings eventually. This year I managed to get just one scion, and as you can see it is tiny, so I had to make a very thin graft, which is very hard to do. Luckily everything went great, so now I have one more plant of Zuiso Japanese white pine. This graft was part of the second session, so the paraffin tape and the aluminum wire is still on, and these grafts from the second session have not seen full sun yet. After I remove the tape, I usually put the aluminum wire back on loosely just to keep the scion from dislodging by accident. The rootstock is a 2-year-old Austrian black pine, by the way. So this season I had my greatest success rate ever with 100% of the grafts coming out of the greenhouse alive. But of course I had some losses during the brutally hot summer. Overall, north of 90% success rate, which is awesome. Now, this is an exciting double graft. I did 2 of them in the second session. Both of them are successful and both of them are going to become twin track bonsai. Both of the grafts are looking awesome. Both of them are dwarf mugo cultivars grafted onto Austrian black pine rootstock. Four grafts done, so just a few more to go. Thank you for your time.